From a purely psychological operation standpoint, I'm actually shocked that what happened earlier today up in Michigan hasn't happened a lot more often. It's truly amazing that it's only gotten this far, given what we have seen online for the last 10 to 20 years. Now, of course, as always, we pray for the victims of this act up in Michigan where this guy allegedly had a gun, shot some people, set a church on fire. But make no mistake, a lot more of this is coming. And people have predicted it, but now that it's here, it's surprising them. And that's the part that is fascinating to me psychologically. It has been predicted by so many different channels that, we're heading for a civil war and violence is coming. Now that it's here, everybody's like, oh no, we need government to step in and do something. It's just absolutely mind-boggling, truly. And it's absolutely quite a bit more civil than what went on in the days when we founded this country. What you're looking at here is, of course, an artist's rendering of a gentleman being tarred and feathered. Now, I know when you say that, people think of that in a very sanitary way, but it's one of the most vicious, horrific ways to die. I mean, absolutely so much worse what went on over taxes on whiskey and taxes on tea than what's happening now. But the reality of the story is this is quite a bit more civil. A lot of people said there's going to be a civil war. This is a lot more civil than what went on during the founding of this country. The question is, how far is too far before people actually in their own lives begin making changes? How far is too far? I have a take on this, though, that I think is going to surprise a lot of people, and it ties into one of the biggest stories of the last 10 years. And when you put the two and two together, some people are going to throw a temper tantrum and get caught up in their emotions and start typing and say how wrong I am. But those of you who have command of your mind, those of you who have joined us at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, will see the dots connected. Now, if you'd like to join us, Florida Maquis Patreon channel, love to have you over there. We take the gloves off. We talk about things in ways we can't talk about here. The media, the government, people in power, they have a vested interest in you not understanding how psychological operations work. Not just that they exist. They're fine with that. But once you get into the nuts and bolts, you can deconstruct them and see them for what they are as one big game. We got 4 levels over there. Maquis foot soldiers, need to know roundtable, unit commanders, brigade commanders, whatever God puts on your heart. God bless all of you who've joined us over there. Thank you so much. Let's get right to it. Let's talk about what's really causing this epidemic of online anger turning into actual people doing things. Toxic feminism. Now, I know, Florida Maquis, hold on. Are you one of those woman haters? No, I'm absolutely not. But there are a very small group of women out there who have taken over the narrative of what a woman is versus what a child is, and what a man should or should not be in order to be quote-unquote accepted. Mark my words, they're going to find out that a lot of these guys, and they already have, there's something called incel, involuntary celibate, meaning they've made it through childhood, puberty, all the way up to adulthood, and are living as adult men, and never have they ever had a moment with a woman. Ever. And they are terrified and on the edge of a panic attack, thinking that they may never. Now, here's the story. Here's the story that nobody knew about and nobody cared about until the Me Too movement got a hold of it. Trump was right when he said the story had turned into a hoax. It truly was. It was an absolute hoax. And what's brought it up recently is this photobombing picture of Ghislaine Maxwell and Elon Musk. See, the problem here is people are bad at math. The problem here is that people are bad at math. Elon Musk is 54 years old. That makes him roughly only about not even 10 years older than most of the girls at Epstein Island. In fact, when all this was going down, the late 90s, early 2000s, Elon Musk was a nobody. He was living in an office and showering at the YMCA. At this time, Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, Peter Thiel, all these guys, none of these guys would have had any interest in him. Nor would he have ever been invited to the island. He was nobody at that time. People are just bad at math. He was just this geeky, balding kid who invented this pay system that's, since then has gotten quite a bit of, worth to it. But here's the story about this. You see, this picture was from 2014. 2014. Most of the girls who were alleging that they were quote-unquote children at the time that all this was going on would have been in their 30s when this picture was taken. Think about that for just a minute. All right, still with me. Sorry about that. Had to make a quick adjustment on the camera. You see, Little Miss Holly Hobby and Strawberry Shortcake and Smurfette and Hello Kitty here, when they finally got some traction from the Me Too movement, submitted pictures for the articles that predated their meeting Jeffrey Epstein by many, many years. Who was the kid that got his life ended by the security guard so many years ago, with a Skittles kid? Remember? And they showed pictures of him from when he was 11 or 12, and when they finally got pictures of who the guy was, he was quite a bit older and had gold teeth and all this. That's what's going on here. See, they don't want you seeing these pictures. This is part of the Epstein files. They don't want you seeing these pictures and going, wait a minute, Holly Hobby, Strawberry Shortcake, Hello Kitty, and Smurfette. This isn't what people want. Besides, I have another question. If these girls were in high school, it's perfectly fine for them to make a decision about ending the life of a child, right? They're old enough and adult enough and mature enough to do that. Oh, but of course, when it comes to a roll in the hay with some old guy, then that's the line too far. They're little tiny baby children with absolutely no ability to make an adult decision whatsoever. Same thing with birth control. Hands that out in junior high and high school? They can make that decision behind their parents' backs, can't they? And most recently, they can even decide what gender they are, absent any influence from the parents. They're all old enough to do that, mature enough to do that. But they take off for a weekend to some Caribbean island with some old guy and get paid a bunch of money to have happy fun time, and all of a sudden we have a felony. We also hand girls that age keys to cars with phones to be distracted by. Not so fun fact, motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death for U.S. teens, with the CDC reporting that about 2,800 teens died and 250,000 almost were injured in 2020 alone. Real quick question. Can somebody look this up for me? How many girls at Epstein's Island were either killed or injured? None. Zero. Absolutely, completely zero. Nobody was harmed. But yet they're old enough to go drive on the roadway, get cars, earn money. This is a ridiculous story. People talk about the founding fathers. People talk about our wise old elders. They talk about, let's go MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Let's make America great again. Let's go back to the first thing our grandparents would ask us, looking at this picture, if we used the word pedophilia or child harm, they would say, where's the child in the picture? I don't see a child anywhere. Is the child hiding back in the kitchen there somewhere? Is the child hiding down the stairs somewhere? Where's the child? Is what they would say. Oh, and we can hand them. Nobody was complaining back then that a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old were broaching subjects on TV that were meant only for adults, and only one of them was actually 18. They were allegedly supposed to be in college, if I'm not mistaken. Nobody was complaining about this either. This little 13 or 14-year-old out posing for this, that, and the other. Isn't it strange that when we look at all the actual pictures from Epstein Island, that all we see are girls in their late teens? Nobody cared when they decided to elect the current man president, the way that he had behaved with his young daughter from the time that she was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, handing her over to a unknown pederast to put her in all sorts of states of undress to pose for money. And here's the part that ties this all together. Imagine if Epstein had been the recruiter and Ghislaine Maxwell had been the billionaire. And let's say she was a lesbian and he was the one procuring girls for her. Do you think we would have ever heard this story? Do you think we would have ever, nobody would have bothered? Because if it was a billionaire woman who had some island off in the British Virgin Islands away from the United States, who was bringing volleyball players and softball players and basketball players there for retreats, giant air quotes, and he was the ground person for that, or young boys, I guess, young men, I guess I should say, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, you wouldn't have heard a peep from the feminists. You would have not heard a peep. People wonder why. People wonder why. This is why. I'm telling you right now, this is tied to toxic feminism. And this isn't anything new. How many of you have heard of something called a succubus? Female demon designed to destroy men. Another video probably we'll have to do at Patreon, of course, because the feminists won't let this ride. And I'll be very, very honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if this thing with Charlie Kirk didn't have something to do with that, because he and Candace Owens had one of their best videos is where they absolutely took apart feminism piece by piece. And believe me, this group of women, Rush Limbaugh used to refer to them as feminazis. They have absolutely no compunction about physically ending the life of men that they disagree with. I'll leave it there. God bless all of you who've joined us on Patreon. Very much appreciate it. God bless everyone. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.